All right, everybody, we are back right here on the Random Richard podcast, and with us now is Chelsea Murphy. So she is another one of our cosplayers we have on with us. And Chelsea, it's been a long time since we've seen each other in person, but we've known each other since what? I think it third grade, maybe second grade. When I don't know, whenever you came to the elementary
Ow.
school,
Uh,
I don't even remember now.
no, I don't want to think about how long it's been.
Many, many moons ago. But we really do appreciate you coming on and talking with us and sharing your cosplay expertise and experience that you've had over the many years of doing it. Um, so first and foremost, as we've been talking, we talked with Eric for a little while, and we're doing this episode on cosplay for those of you listening to just, for those of you who have never cosplayed before, or maybe you have, but you don't really have a lot of confidence in your costumes that you've done. Hopefully some of the tips and tricks you're hearing here, both from Eric and from Chelsea, will help you make the best costume possible. So the first question I had for you, Chelsea, was what got you started in cosplaying? Like what was the driving force to get you to want to dress up as your favorite character or characters? And on top of that, what was the first costume you made and whatever event it was that you went to?
Um, I think it goes back from when I was very young. Always enjoyed dressing up in costumes, running around the house with the siblings and all. Um, and then, of course, as you would know, Zach, there was drama in high school. Really got to again run around in costume, but now in front of people with an audience and pretend to be a different character. Um, and then, unfortunately, when you hit adulthood, there's not a lot of opportunities to dress up in costume and run around and not have people look at you a little sideways. um, but then a friend of mine suggested we go to a Comic-Con, and now suddenly here was this opportunity to do all these things I kind of been doing since a kid, but now I can do it as an adult. And that was that.
Yeah, now I'm trying to remember what plays did you do? How many plays did you do in high school?
Mm, six or seven ish.
Did
It
you
was a
start
while ago.
did you start our freshman year?
Yeah, as a
Oh,
munchkin.
okay. So oh yeah, you were right. You were in the Wizard of Oz. Yeah, so was
Yeah,
I. I was a
yeah.
it was the Wizard of Oz. It was the Wizard of Oz version where all the munchkins are taller than Dorothy.
It
Because
was,
the girl who played the Dorothy, I think, was the shortest of the bunch.
yeah.
Well,
So I guess that's kind of where it started.
nice.
Well, I have to ask, what were you both in The Wizard of Oz? This is awesome. This is like a school reunion. I am witnessing like a
It
school
is. It
reunion.
is a little bit of a school reunion. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what's crazy, Chelsea, is next year is our 20th school
Oh
reunion
man.
anniversary.
Oh man.
Thick. It's sick, I tell you.
Well, I mean, I was a munchkin in Wizard of Oz, my grand debut. I don't remember what you were, Zach. I'm sorry.
So I played four different roles. I was
Oh,
so
maybe
good
that's
they
why.
needed to cast me four times. No, I'm just kidding. That was not that I was not very good. I still remember the horror and terror and fright I had trying out for that play because it's the first time I'd ever done a theater
Oh
play
yeah.
before, and I had to get up during auditions and sing, and I could not sing, and I tried to
Yeah.
sing like the Scarecrow song with no music, and it was horrid. Oh, I still shake even thinking about that. But no, so I was a munchkin as well. I was a munchkin coroner, which I had a one sentence solo that scared the bejesus out of me having to do that. I was a munchkin coroner. I was a farmhand, and I was a dancing skeleton because in the Wizard of Oz
Ah,
play, there's no flying monkeys or skeletons. And then
right.
I was Tibia, which is the lead skeleton. So I had a few lines. The good news was I had a mask on, so nobody could see my face.
But it was a dance.
There was a dance. Yeah. Yeah. There was a dance. Thank goodness those VHS tapes are long gone, I think.
I just found a picture though, so maybe I'll send
Oh,
that. I'll
oh
send that to you.
goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. All right.
This is perfect for our audience. I do think we need to have the pictures, you know, from the Wizard of Oz
No,
play.
Chris,
For
this
the
is about Chelsea's cosplay, not about my terrible looks in theater.
It could be both.
It could be, but it shouldn't. Just for the sake of our audience, they don't want to see that or hear that.
Yeah.
Um, Anyways, so do you remember the first character that you dressed up as cosplayed as?
Um, as cosplay, probably like going to a convention and putting on a whole outfit was the character Rogue from X-Men, but like the 90s, early 90s version
Good
with the big
choice.
hair and the green and the yellow and the the best version, really.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, um, but I think the first time I ever tried to make a costume, nobody can see my air quotes, but I did that, was a Jedi robe that I made in college with zero like know-how, but I wanted it for the uh, the last Star Wars prequel movie that was coming out. I wanted to wear it to the theater, so I'm not sure which one of those counts first as my first cosplay. One was just a Jedi robe, but the other one was a full outfit. So, but there was a big chunk of time between the two.
Yes, the last prequel movie before Disney took over and destroyed Star Wars. But anyway, that's a whole nother
Oh,
topic
oh,
conversation.
oh. Okay. Well, we'll let that lie.
Oh, that's a whole nother episode of our podcast. Yeah. Anyways, no, that's cool. Yeah, the '90s Rogue is fantastic.
Yeah. That was a definitely a learning experience. Like I tended to jump in not exactly in the deep end of the pool, but definitely in like the middle bit of the pool without really learning basics of how to dye things, how to sew things. I never really took like lessons or anything like that. I just would see a thing and went, I'm pretty sure I could do that. So that particular outfit had some issues. Like there was paint flaking off of it. There was weird dye marks. There was things that didn't match. I used chalk in my hair to get the white streak. So it was. I mean, I was real proud of it at the time, though. I was shining my nerd light brightly.
What was the draw for like for any of your cosplay outfits actually? Like so the first one was Rogue. Was it because it was so cool looking, or did you have like a favorite character that you liked, or what was that? What was some of it?
it's it's a character. I like her character. With I think with everything that I've done, it's I've always liked the character and wanted to kind of be it like I suppose people's motivations for cosplay is a little bit different, but for me it's partially um wanting to be the character a little, but also a lot of it's just wanting to pay my respect to the fandom and the character also. And then somewhere down the line is wanting to look cool, but that 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 doesn't always really factor into it, especially with one of my ones down the line. It wasn't a very flattering costume, but it was probably my favorite one. But it's the character that I love, and just to run around as that for a day it's a blast.
I think every time I've seen people cosplay, they always cosplay because they like the character. I don't think they're doing it like, hey, I just needed something to dress up as. They have an attachment to a character. That character was important in their life. They admire the character, whatever, what have you. It's just been, for me when I've cosplayed, which has only been a couple times, and it's just been in Star Trek costumes. Honestly, it's just because those are the costumes that I had. It wasn't a particular character necessarily, except for the last one. I had a buddy of mine who handmade me from scratch a Starfleet uniform, and I
Mm.
cosplayed as Chief O'Brien from Deep Space Nine, except for I didn't have the curly Irish hair. Other than that, I had the rest of it though.
They got wigs for that, if you're interested.
They do. I don't know that that would be a look on me that wouldn't scare off or frighten small children. But yeah, they do make wigs. That's true.
I think you're right that it's a lot about the character because there actually was one that I liked the look of the character and I was planning everything out. I bought fabric, I was dyeing fabric, which actually turned out terrible, but I was in process. But then I just realized I was doing it just because I liked the look of the character, and I realized I didn't actually like the character or the movie that was in. It may have been one of the Star Wars, maybe. And so I just abandoned it completely because I didn't want to embody that, I guess. But yeah, it's kind of a weird relationship you can have with your costume sometimes.
I think that is great what you just said, because Zach and I were, and it'd be interesting hearing your thoughts about this too. Really interesting hearing your thoughts about it. But when we were thinking about cosplay and the idea of the characters we like, right, and then having the opportunity and the creativity to be able to cosplay, there's a lot of reveal of like who you are as a person, who you like like the types of things you aspire to be if you like that character. So um I like that part. I'm not a cosplayer myself, but I like that part, that idea of like when they cosplay, it's not that they are necessarily getting into a costume, but another aspect is they're revealing like who they are inside too. So that that is cool. I like hearing that from you.
Yeah, and I don't want to presume to know everybody's motivation for cosplaying. Like you see some incredible designs and displays like in the competitions and what people put on their Instagrams and all that stuff. And I don't I don't know. Like at some point, I wondered, do they all have personal connections with everything that they're putting out there? Maybe they do. I don't know, but um, I think there could be a lot of motivations for why people dress up or do a thing. But definitely for me, I gotta like the character and yeah, be okay bringing that out for people to see.
I think you're right with the, connection or not. I don't know that everybody does. I've seen some pretty wild costumes at Star Trek conventions, and like I saw somebody one time dressed as a shuttlecraft. I don't know that they have a distinct connection to that shuttlecraft. Maybe they do. Maybe their favorite episode involves a shuttlecraft or something. I don't know, but that could have just been partially for fun. I know at the Star Trek conventions they do like a costume contest. A lot of Comic Cons do that too. They'll do a
Mhm.
cosplay contest and they give out prizes. So sometimes people I think go for maybe creativity and that wow factor more
Yeah.
than character connection. But a lot of the people that I know that cosplay go for kind of what you said, character connection, right? This character has a meaning to me. I really like this character a lot. This character was important in my life, and then so forth.
And and boy, you gotta love it too, because it at 3 a.m. when your sewing needle breaks or the glue isn't sticking or something terrible is happening, like you need to come back to I really love not only what I'm doing, but this character that I'm bringing to life. And so we're just gonna start all over again, and it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like that. It's like that meme with the dog and all the fire around it. It's fine. Everything's fine here.
Yeah.
Everything's fine now. It's funny because I have seen some pictures you've shared shared over the years. I was not an English major. I shared over the years of you building costumes and some of those late night frustrations where you're like, nothing's working right now.
I try to be honest. I think people need to see the process and to know that it is a struggle and it can be hard and things go wrong and you lose sleep. I think it's important for people to know that it's not always just going to be super easy. And if it's not easy, you're not doing it right or something like that. So it's messy. For
Yeah.
me, anyway, for me.
So okay, it's messy. It can be a challenge, and it's a big process sometimes, depending on the costume you're making. I'm curious, what was the most elaborate cosplay you've done? And elaborate doesn't necessarily have to mean that it looks elaborate, but for you, as far as making it, because I know a lot of, if not all of your costumes that you have worn have all been made by yourself. And so, what was maybe your most elaborate one?
um, I think I'm gonna say the hardest ish one. I don't know if it was elaborate, but um, and like don't nobody get too excited. But I attempted keyword I attempted um a still suit from the 1980s Lynch Dune version, the black with the little pockets everywhere and all that. Because I'm a fan of that one, and um So I attempted that one, and that took like my friend and I, we did the wrapping of your torso in tape and plastic so you can get a frame for your torso, and then like drawing the still suit shapes onto that. And then the process I used involved foam and fabric and latex paint and all that, and like fitting the pieces. And then I didn't have a dummy at the time, so it was just a lot of like trying to stick things to myself and looking at myself in reverse in a mirror. And it was that was probably the hardest process one that I had attempted, just because it was a full body, pieces everywhere, and I didn't really have a setup. Like a mannequin would have been really, really helpful to, especially for everything that goes on behind you. Um, so I'm going to say that one. It probably didn't look that hard, or maybe it did. I'm not sure, but for me, that one was hard.
How long did that take you to make?
Yeah, not. I didn't spend as long on it as I should have. Don't procrastinate. That's a tip. Um, uh, Nothing else. Don't procrastinate and have a plan. I don't know. I don't know how long these things take, because I do
Many
tend to
hours, I'm sure.
procrastinate. Yeah, and I stay up until like 4 in the morning and stuff like that. So I'm not sure. A while.
Well, I love that it was a stilt suit from Dune, and from the
Yeah.
Lynch, from the 1984 David Lynch Dune. I love that. Oh, that's awesome.
I was a fan. Well, and also the new one wasn't out. I don't. It was probably a twinkle in Dennis's eye, maybe, but I think that was like the second, maybe third cosplay I attempted. But it was, again, that was another thing that was near and dear to my heart. So I wanted to give it a try. I would happily. I need to do a Dune 2.0 though, because there was a lot of things I would change with what I did.
The 80s Dune, Chris, that's the one that you're really a big fan of, right? This one that's got Sir Patrick Stewart in it, right?
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I I think there are many times, Chris, on this podcast where I've had to preface a sentence with "please don't pull my nerd card," but I know very little about Dune. Like very, very little. So yeah, I know. I'm
Oh,
sorry. Yeah.
wow.
I've got the new Dune movie. I still haven't watched it yet on Blu-ray. It's still not even opened out of the package. I still haven't watched it. It's hard, like my schedule, it's hard to watch like a 3.5 hour movie.
All right.
So I'll get to it eventually. I promise I will. But yeah, I don't know a lot about Dune.
Yeah, they're
Shame.
awesome, man. Yeah.
I know. I know. Yeah. Anyways, this is
Yeah.
not about me. So, uh, so do you so all these different costumes that you make and that you've cosplayed in, do you keep them all? And if you do you have like a warehouse somewhere or a storage unit, or where do you put all of these costumes?
I did keep them. I have gotten rid of a few, just because they either don't fit anymore, or just looking back at them and like, oh, that really was I was at a different place, um, technically and ability wise, and I wouldn't wear that again. So I get rid of those. I have a tiny little storage space under my stairs that I would really love to make some more space in, but the fabric and costumes are taking up half of it. So, but I do try to reuse things, and I have reused like capes and uh, armored boot kind of things, pirate bits and stuff. So I do tell myself it's okay to hold on to all this, because I reuse bits and pieces. And you spend a lot of time and money on this stuff, so you don't exactly just want to chuck it after the fact.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that I was on mute. Sorry about that. Yes, that does make sense. Actually, what you were talking about, so keeping the cosplay costumes and then being able to reuse them. So along with that, I mean that's good. That takes some foresight, right? Some kind of some thought too. And if you could go like, does that help out with tips and tricks and what you're doing, like being able to, uh, are you thinking about multiple things at the same time when you get pieces?
No, I think, I suppose part of it is just I happily wear those costumes again, not always to a Comic-Con, but to other events or like pieces of it to other events and things like that. But there are certain ones like the boots that I have, I will constantly reuse those. And when I attach things to it, sometimes I'll make it in such a way that it detaches easily so that I can, you just can keep that boot form because I like them. They're actually kind of comfortable. They fit nice. They look good. So I want to keep those. I don't necessarily permanently attach things to it. I don't know if that's a tip exactly, but I suppose, if you can get some good solid base items like boots or bodysuits and things like that, and you can put things over it. You don't necessarily, if you can find a way to not permanently attach a thing, it allows you to reuse it. But some outfits, that's not an option. So
Yeah, those are good though. Those are good tips. So have you been thinking about what other cosplay like costumes that you'd like to do, or what you might have in the future, or have there been any that you really 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 want to do but you just haven't done yet?
yes, it's sort of like having I don't know, book pile of books to read. It's always that pile's always growing, but you're probably never ever gonna actually read that whole pile. The list of costumes that one would like to attempt always grows, but the opportunity to dress up, there's not a lot of it. And also you're just sort of constrained by time and means and money. But yes, I there are a lot. It's kind of funny that pretty much every time you watch a movie, that has some interesting costumes in it. Um, my good friend, she was my fellow cosplay buddy. Like she and I would be watching a movie thing, and we kind of lean over and be like, "We should do that. We can make that. I'll bet that would look really cool." Like with zero know-how to do a thing. I just whispered that. Hopefully that actually came through the mic. I'm sorry.
We heard you. I heard
Oh,
you.
good.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're good.
So it's kind of fun that every time you watch a movie, you sort of always add things to a list. But I do have like my sort of Mount Everest of cosplays that someday somehow would be so awesome to do. And that would be the Plava Laguna from The Fifth Element, the blue diva singing lady. That would be, I don't know if I could, I don't know, but if I could, I think that's the coolest thing.
Yeah, that would be. I love The Fifth Element. That'd be something. That is elaborate. That is huge.
It would be something, which is
That
why
sound
I'm not at a place where I could attempt that yet, but it's always sort of niggling in my mind. It would be interesting to
I could
figure
see
out.
I could see some frustrated 3 a.m. Chelsea posts on social
Oh
media
man.
with that one.
It's a lot of blue and a lot of angry.
You gotta be careful. You might just come out as a blue man group.
That would be my, sometimes also part of cosplaying is just adapting. And that would be my like, well, that didn't work. Now it's just a member of the Blue Man group. We'll call it good.
Yeah, you could dress it. You could say, "Hey, this didn't work out on now. I'm gonna add some antennae and be an Andorian." There you go. Why
Oh,
not?
nice. All right.
Yeah. Even us pink skins have a couple of good ideas every now and again.
Yeah.
So what are some of the different conventions you go to? I know you've done, from at least some pictures I've seen, Emerald City Comic Con. Are there other ones you go to, or what are some of the most frequent ones that you attend typically when you cosplay?
Just Emerald City and Rose City down in Portland. Again, it would be cool to go to the big one down in San Diego. That would be something. But we have a pretty good Comic-Con here in Seattle, and
It's grown quite a bit from what I've seen. In fact, I saw the next Emerald City Comic Con, which I believe is early next year, right, in Seattle.
yeah, March. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen a few members of the cast of Arrow, to include Stephen Amell, are going to be there. That's pretty exciting. Yeah, I
Ooh.
love Arrow. Love that show. So that'll be good. I've always wanted to do the San Diego Comic Con myself. I know it's really hard to get tickets, and
Yeah.
then there's the back of my mind thinking, oh, there's 250,000 nerds that need deodorant who are going to be there. Who you're
It's
like,
gotten better. It's gotten
has it
better.
gotten better? Okay.
I
I
think
mean,
so.
that'd be the one thing, that'd be the one thing where it's like, the one time where it would be good to wear a mask would be at San Diego Comic Con. Just, to screen out some of the particulars. But yeah, no, that would be cool. Because I mean, San Diego Comic Con is full of cosplayers. I think there's probably, from pictures I've seen, there's probably more people dressed up than not dressed up at a place like that.
Yeah, and there's what's people that show up there are incredible. Although there's incredible costumes I've seen at Emerald City and Rose City as well. So they're everywhere, but probably concentrated there. Um, but yeah, that would be something. But it's hard when this is local and it's a pretty solid one. So I
Yeah.
haven't really also felt the need to venture very far.
That's right, because like if you were to go like out of your city, out of your state, I guess that the whole other dimension would be potential dimension would be transportation of
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. With Rose City, it was nice. You just throw it all in the car and you can have like your mannequin head in the back seat wearing the wig and like it's fine. You can do it. It's all right.
Yeah,
But
you can hit the carpool lane now.
yeah. um, Logistics are also another aspect of cosplay that really factor in not just transportation, but just wearing the thing. How do you sit? How do you go to the bathroom? How do you actually get in it? Can you get in it without help? Can you get out of it without help? Like costumes in movies, there's a whole department to help people out. With when you cosplay, it's often just you. Although if you're really lucky, you can have your helpers at the con, which is always very nice. They hold bags for you and hold like a water bottle for you and things like that. It's very nice.
So you've had it where you've had the opportunity to have helpers with
Well, I mean, you're not gonna call them helpers.
yeah,
They're just your buddies that are there.
yeah.
But if they, I don't know, there seems to be like, if people want a picture with you or something like that, then it's almost like you don't even have to say anything. They just sort of like reach over and you hand them your bag and you hand them whatever comic book you just bought and they wander off to the side and hold all your stuff and you take the picture and then they come back and help you out. And it's important. Behind every cosplayer, there's a friend holding their bag for them or their wallet or a water bottle or something.
Yeah, so I'm also curious too, of all the costumes you've made and all the characters that you have dressed up as, do you have a favorite one?
Yes. um, Favorite for a couple reasons again, because there's a lot that goes into choosing your cosplays. This was from the gem, the fantasy gem Willow, the movie. Um, you may recall that there are two characters called the Brownies, Frangine and Rule. Are you familiar with the Brownies? Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Sorry, I didn't see
Yeah, there's another Willow
that.
coming out on Disney Plus.
I
You gonna watch
know.
that?
I probably will. I don't know how I feel about it, but I probably will.
It's got Warwick Davis in it again, right? So
It does. There's even a brownie in it, from what I saw
there,
in a preview.
there you go.
So my friend and I, we dressed up as the brownies, Frangine and Rule. And in the movie, they're only like 6 inches tall. Um, and they're just fun, kind of rambunctious, strange little characters. And so the costume was the most fun to put together because there were no patterns were involved because those are evil things that make no sense. So there's no patterns. It was just patching things together because of the nature of their outfits. you do the best you can with the reference photos that you can kind of glean off of stills from the movie or things like that. Um, I loved my wig. It was just this giant, pokey, fuzzy thing. It was just a lot of fun to make, and you could take kind of a lot of liberties with it because also you kind of had to adapt it because there are these two guide characters, and one of them like wasn't really wearing a shirt, so clearly we gotta change that up. So there was a lot of kind of some license that we could take with it. It was a lot of fun to put together, and then just wearing it was the most fun we'd ever had. Just kind of embodying their spirit at the con was a lot of fun. We'd be running around, making faces at people, looking kind of confused, and it was it was a blast. So that one is my favorite. Yeah.
Nice. And it's interesting too, because I know you mentioned how much you liked the Dune character, the costume that you made as well.
Mm. Yes, I did enjoy that, but that one was far more stressful to put together. It was hard to like get on and off. I ached at the end of the day just because when you wear these things, you hold yourself differently. You can't move like you normally move. So I was sore. I was like sweating to death underneath it. Um, so I liked it, the Dune one, because it was Dune and I was happy to be embodying that. But everything else was a chore about that one. Whereas the brownie one, like every step of the process was a blast. Um, and that was the year that Val Kilmer was at Rose City, and my friend and I got to hang out with him a little bit because he thought our outfits were cool.
Nice.
Tooting my horn a little.
That's awesome. That's right.
Yeah.
Iceman.
Yeah.
Have you seen the new Top Gun Maverick movie?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, I thought so too.
I didn't expect it to be, sorry, but it was.
Yeah, it was great. For me going into that movie, I thought if Tom Cruise doesn't sign on to do bad movies, I mean, you can say what you will about the guy and is as a person in real life, but he makes really good movies and he's a really good actor. So I knew if he's signing on to do it 30 some years later and finally do another Top Gun, it's got to be pretty good.
It was pretty awesome. Thumbs up.
I'm sorry I haven't seen it yet, but I will.
I'm trying not to spoil things, Chris, but you're making it hard on me. I want to talk about that movie, but
how about Zach, you see Dune and Chris watches Maverick, and that's like the agreement that you guys have.
Well, that's not an unfair agreement because he could watch Maverick twice in the time it's going to take me to watch Dune.
Oh.
I will, since we're talking about Dune, I will say the Dune, the new Dune, you do have to be like for me, this was just me. You do have to be in a particular mood or frame of mind to appreciate that Dune.
Can I get to that frame of mind ever? Is that possible for me to get to that frame of mind, Chris, or is this like a no go?
You got it, man. You can do it.
Okay, all right. Yeah. I'll give him my best shot.
Chelsea, were you Lady Jessica? Was that the your cosplay in that you did?
Oh, actually, I forgot. I've done Dune twice. So the first one was the still suit, and I was trying to be Cheney. But the second one that I did or attempted to do again, it would really benefit to make a plan and not procrastinate. Was the Lady Jessica at the end of the 80s Dune. So she lost her hair and she was in that black long gown thingy. So I did actually attempt that a couple years ago. As because I wanted to try out a bald cap as well for fun.
Well, those of you who are listening, if you saw our announcement for this episode, then you have seen the picture of Chelsea in that costume with a lightsaber.
Yeah. That wasn't part of the outfit. That was just me having a real good time at Comic-Con.
It was a multiverse of madness.
Asking if I could play with someone's saber.
So what was that costume, or was there a different costume that you can think of you've had the most people come up to you and ask to take a picture with you?
No, it was the brownie one that the most people were excited about, which was actually cool. Like we weren't sure how many people were going to get, because it is like I mean, it's a little bit of it's 80s fantasy. There's kind of different group of people perhaps who would remember that, but a lot of people did. So that was both a surprise and I don't know, we just got a lot of opportunities to make weird faces in people's pictures. So um, but it's also very nice if you can at least get one person to recognize the thing that you're dressing up as. If I can get one person, that makes my day. Multiple people's great, but if I can just get just the one, then I'm happy. It means I did something kind of right. But
yeah, I think it's cool if you can make characters that are recognizable, but not only that, if you can create a character that you like and is recognizable by somebody, even if it's not a big main character from some main franchise, I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I'm shining the niche nerd light a little bit, trying to see who's done their homework watching all these movies growing up of a certain age.
Well, speaking of the 80s, so Chelsea, I'm curious to get your I want you to cast a vote for me. So we've done 2 nerd debates. We had the first we called the Great Nerd Debate, which was our second ever episode of the podcast of Star Trek versus Star Wars. And then we did the Great Nerd Debate number 2, which was what was the greatest decade in movie, not TV, just movies, in movie history. And we narrowed it down to the 1980s versus the 1990s. And that was across many different genres. It wasn't just sci-fi, it was all movies. If you could cast a vote, which decade would you vote for as the greatest decade for movies in cinema history, 80s or 90s?
Man, that's a big commitment.
You see how unfair, what an unfair question, Zach.
Wait. What? There's bragging rights on the line here. What are you talking about? I'm just saying.
All right, because
so Chris
I'm
and
not just gonna like sit here and silently debate this.
Well, Chris and I each took a different decade. So we kind of did it in like a debate style where we each argued for one of the decades to be the greatest, and then we cast it out to the ethers for people to decide which one was the greatest. So I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but if you could, it doesn't have to be a philosophical answer or anything, but if you could pick which decade you think might be the greatest.
So
movie history.
My heart, my first instinct answer, 80s. Hey.
I won't say who.
No, yeah, don't give that away. Because this is again just the first impression. I feel like 80s were still either fully into or just sort of like really experimenting with effects. So there was still like a lot of practical effects that were being used, but they're really kind of trying to figure out there's a lot of bigger ideas that are coming on. I'm thinking of fantasy movies mostly. And they're trying to figure out how to do that. So like special effects are being improved upon, but there's still lots of practical stuff. And I really like that. And probably because off the top of my head, I'm not entirely sure in the 90s what big fantasy movie I like. If you can remind me, I'll take it. But I think a lot of the ones I really enjoy were from the 80s.
Interesting. I know I kind of I'm not even gonna say it because I gave Chris a lot of crap about what movie he brought up because of the fact that it was the biggest box office success at the time of the 90s, but it was pretty funny.
Hey man, I was just bringing in objective monetary facts there.
Wait, wasn't Matrix? Matrix was 90s? Wasn't that like 99 or something?
Matrix was 90s. Yeah, 99.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, so that was pretty cool. But I think my heart mostly belongs to the 80s.
I will say though, in both of our defense, it was a fun debate, but it was super challenging because thinking like, you look at like you and I, Chelsea, we're 80s babies, 90s kids, if that, whatever that phrase is, you're born in the 80s, but a lot of your younger childhood also is in the early 90s. There's a lot of great movies in both decades.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm struggling to think of a good 90s fantasy movie. I'm sorry. Chris, do you have?
Well, I'm
Would you like to approach the podium again, Chris,
yeah,
and state your
Defend your
case?
stance.
Defend your
yeah. Well, I'm trying to think of fantasy. I'm sure some will come to me, but I mean, the '80s fantasy movies, like you have Willow, you have Legend, Kroll was in
Roll.
there, Kroll, right?
A lot of good sci-fi. So like,
Mm-hmm.
was it Last Starfighter
Last
and
Starfighter was there too. Yeah,
the
yeah.
greatest movie of all time was also made in the 1980s. Can you guess what it was?
well, I was gonna go with a Star Wars reference, but I'm not entirely sure if that's where you were going with it.
No, it's
No.
all I can say is Marty, you've got to come back with me.
Oh,
Here.
okay.
Back to the Future.
Okay.
Yeah. It's my favorite movie of all time. So yeah, it's an 80s movie for sure. But anyways, all right. Well,
Back.
we could sit I could sit here, we could sit here and chat about that stuff forever, literally, and just geek out. I had one more question for you. I know Chris probably has another question as well, but one of my questions for you, or my last question for you, is if you can think of maybe like a top like 3 or 4 or 5 tips and tricks, not only just in general for people who haven't cosplayed before, but maybe even folks who are looking to cosplay on a budget.
Mm, yeah. Um, the budget one's tough because you can get real creative by going to places like Value Village and Goodwill, and it's not just looking at a shirt and be like, that's the shirt I need, but you can rip apart things for the bits and the pieces. And I ripped apart purses and bags because it was the red leather that I needed for like other bits and pieces. Anyway, but I've also spent a lot of money on fabric, and you can sometimes spend a lot of money on fabric and then you start to use it, or it comes in the mail or something, and it's the wrong shade or the wrong sheen, or it stretches in the wrong way and you have to start all over again. um I'm gonna keep harping on make a plan and don't procrastinate. um and do your research, I guess. These are all things I don't do very well, and so I know how important it is to actually do them because it would make your life so much easier. um so that's gotta be tip number one, is do that, because when it comes to crunch time, you're going to be cutting corners, you're going to be relying a lot more on your glue gun than you should, and the glue gun is in fact your best friend. um that's tip number two. Get a good glue gun and have a lot of glue sticks on hand, because I have also made the late night runs to the fabric store with like 1 minute to close. um don't do that to yourself. Be prepared. Have as much as you can. um Another thing I don't do very well, but please do, ask for help. Like, don't feel like, I mean, everybody to their own. There can be a little bit of pride associated, I think, with cosplays or anything that you decide to do on your own. Like, it's a piece of art. It's your project. It's your art. It's got to be all you. But yeah, ask for help. There's people who've done this before. They can make it a lot easier. They got a lot of tips. I was constantly messaging my friend who was also my cosplay buddy. I was sending her pictures of my fabric patterns that, of course, weren't working, just yelling at her in caps lock, why isn't it working? And then she would tell me to relax and just sew it together and it would be fine. And that was true. Um, so having people you can ask for help, the YouTube tutorials, just don't be afraid to explore those resources. Don't try to just jump into that deep end on your own. It's awesome if you can make it, but you don't have to. Um, and I know these aren't like super practical, like, and this is how you build armor, but just as a mentally going into wanting to cosplay or something, um, also having a community or support or a friend who's really in it with you. Um, like I kind of noticed when my friend moved away, I haven't been cosplaying as much as I wanted to. I didn't really have like someone that I really wanted to be like accountable as much to. So I think for some people, if you're not in a place where there's no conventions around or there's not a very strong geek or nerd community, it can be kind of a struggle. But I would really recommend, there's a lot of Facebook groups online you can join, like just specific cosplay groups, and they're totally open and welcoming to people to ask questions, and little community groups. I benefit a lot from having an accountability people, and then they also just sort of create opportunities to dress up together, like going to a park. Let's have fantasy mermaid pirate day, and so there's an opportunity to create a sweet pirate costume with like a mechanical octopus eye mask and like a fake tattoo. And I wouldn't have done that by myself, but having that community makes me do that and helps you hone skills and things like that. And there's no shame in safety pins and duct tape and hot glue. No shame. Whatever, it depends what you want to do in your cosplay. But for me to show up at the con, like as long as it's not necessary, it's not falling off, it's a victory. I am if you're LARPing, you actually might want some things that really stay on a lot better, but yeah, there's no shame in that. You don't have to tell people. People are going to look at it and think it's awesome. They don't know that it's held together by like wishes and dreams and safety pins. And it's fine.
Hey, sometimes wishes and dreams can work wonders.
They go a long ways. And when you pop into those cosplay repair rooms at the cons, they pretty much have hot glue guns, zip ties, safety pins, tape. Like that's the stuff that's gonna, it works. No shame.
They have zip ties for real?
Yeah, I had to go get a little something because my hot glue didn't hot glue like it should have, and something popped off. So I had to go. The only thing that was going to work was a nice little zip tie to reattach the thing.
Reattach the thing, not a limb, right?
No, I mean,
you're like the hot glue didn't work. My arm didn't stay on.
only certain things. Sorry, that was I think that was like a big dump. I'm not entirely sure I answered the budget question very well, but just you don't have to get top end, high end stuff. It's expensive. It can be a really expensive hobby. You can get creative with what you have, cutting up curtains and bed sheets, and scouring the secondhand stores and cardboard, paper, glue. There's a lot you can do with it. A lot can be very convincing with like the right amount of paint applications on it. You can get a lot of things to look very, very convincing with paint. And voila.
No, that was good. Answer the question.
My wisdom of the ages.
No, that was great. That was excellent. Now, forgive me if you already answered this, but do you have a next planned event that you're gonna do and have something planned for that if you want to share what that is?
It'll be the Emerald City Comic-Con coming up in March. I wanted to do the Sorceress from He-Man. But like the Kevin Smith kind of version that came out, because she has like a skirt in that one, and I just sort of appreciate that a bit more. Yeah. Walking around a con. I wanted to do that for the last con that came through, but I just got a kitten, and nothing can be crafted with a kitten on premises. So that didn't happen. So I'm hoping for better things this time around. And that does remind me that I really need to start prepping and planning and eyeballing things.
Don't procrastinate, right?
Now, I know. You think after this many years I would take my own advice, but just be better than me, everybody. Yeah, so that's the hope. I think that would be a lot of fun, and I really like that character. And I did just rewatch the Kevin Smith He-Man, and it sort of reignited my love of that business. So
yeah, I did
we'll
watch.
See.
I did watch at least the first set of the new Kevin Smith like
Yeah.
He-Man. So
I'm not a. I'm sorry if some people are um, disagree. I don't know. I just thought it was fun and it was a great cartoon, and I had missed seeing He-Man, so it was a good time.
I'd love to cosplay as Captain Picard, but I can't pull the bald look off.
My friend, bald. If look at this, see all this hair. If I can
Mhm.
do a bald cap, I mean, just throw one on and didn't just have his air. Order some Earl Grey, you'll be fine.
No, my junior year in college, I shaved my head and it looks so bad I would never do it again. Never.
I wore a bald cap. You can too.
That's my point. I can't pull one off.
that brings me like to my next question to Chelsea was since you have known Zach since the third grade and you know his origins from the Wizard of Oz play in elementary school, what should he cosplay as?
This is
Oh.
payback, isn't it, Chris? This is
Oh.
this is payback, isn't it?
I don't know. Oh, I was doing so well answering questions. Now I feel like I've gone and been stumped. I mean, I would invite you to just explore some of the you like the sci-fi and what have you. There's some fun fringe sci-fi shows out there that they don't require a lot of stuff. Like you could do like a Red Dwarf sort of a
Oh, I love
thing.
Red Dwarf. Oh, I love Red Dwarf.
You know, there's not a lot you have to do for that particular outfit. Actually,
That's right. Yeah,
you
you
know.
could be. I mean, you could dress up as Lister. You could dress up as oh, why am I forgetting the name of the hologram now?
I don't remember.
The hologram with the H on his forehead. You know what I'm talking about.
That's actually what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
With the guy with the H.
Yeah.
I'm a little embarrassed now that I invoked Red Dwarf and I don't remember the name.
No, I love Red Dwarf. I haven't watched it in a while, but I love Red Dwarf. Not that the cat even wouldn't be that bad. Just get some kind of fancy clothes and put some vampire teeth in and some slick hair and call it a day.
See, it could be fun.
That's
I don't know.
true.
That was the first thing that popped into my head. I'm not sure. I think it's just the sci-fi sort of association, but like go for goofy sci-fi.
Goofy sci-fi. I guess I don't know what that says about me, Chris. I guess I'm goofy.
I think it says a great deal.
Thanks, Chelsea. Thanks. I was actually waiting for it to be like, oh, go dress up as someone as Dune. Oh, wait, you haven't watched it yet, so you wouldn't know.
Oh, if I'd been a little quicker with my burns, maybe I could have gone there. I wasn't.
Yeah, it's all right. That's all right. Well, Chelsea, we really appreciate you coming on and talking to us and talking to our listeners about this. Actually, it would be really cool if maybe when you get back from Emerald City Comic Con, like post some photos of your costumes on our social media, and so our listeners can see some of your next costumes.
That is a terrifying accountability that you're giving me now. Like, well, I better look good now. Here I am trying to like wonder how to do her bird hat helmet thing. I'm like, it's fine. Not many people will see it, but now.
Well, I just thought it'd be kind of cool, but you know,
I'll
there you go. There's accountability for you right there.
There
right?
It is. It's big. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. No, but we really do appreciate you coming on and talking and sharing your experiences and your expertise on the costumes you made. You may not think you have expertise, but you do, because I'm sure a lot of people out there listening all over the globe that listen to this podcast who are like, yeah, I've never cosplayed before and I don't really know how to start. But now that they've heard some of the stuff you've said, maybe they're like, that gives them motivation to go out and try.
Well, and I want people to know, like, I am sorry if this ruins the mystique, but I am not like one of those people that's getting up on those contest stages with the really elaborate stuff. Like I didn't really know what I was doing getting into this, and I'm still learning every single time. I very much view myself as a learner, like a sort of novice to this particular craft. So please don't ever limit yourself thinking that like you look at these people up on stage like I could never do that. It's not about that. It's about you having a good time and give it a shot. It's fun.
I would agree. I think that's the most important thing. Have fun, right? I mean, don't.
Yeah.
I think there are some people out there who do it to try to compete in those competitions, but I think a lot of people, the people that I know who cosplay, do it because they enjoy it, because it brings them joy to dress up as their favorite character and everything like that. It makes them, some nostalgia in some senses. Like I know you mentioned you like a lot of like 80s fantasy sci-fi stuff, and so there's a nostalgia factor to it as well.
Yep. And that's why you weren't going to win that competition, Chris. I am sorry.
Well, the '90s did have the Fifth Element, right?
Oh,
Was
yes.
was
Well, all right. Okay. Did you look that up?
No, I knew it was in the '90s. Yeah,
All right.
I knew Fifth Element was in the '90s. That's one of my favorite
Yeah,
movies. Like,
yes, but the 1980s also had Empire Strikes Back, so beat that one.
And this is where I just sort of like quietly exit the conversation and let you guys fight.
All in good fun, of course. All in good fun, of course. But yeah, so yes, thank you so much, Chelsea, for being on with us and sharing your experiences. And we look forward to seeing future costumes from you down the road.
Oh, it's been a hoot. Thank you for talking geek stuff with me. It's been fun.
thank you so much. It's been awesome.
Yeah, that's what we do best. That's why we do this. We just get on and talk about geek stuff and things that we enjoy, and maybe somebody out there listens. But we definitely like, and we appreciate your time as always. And with that being said, we'll be right back here on the Random Richard podcast after this message from one of our sponsors. And we'll be right back with Tony Kim, the CEO of Hero Within. Look forward to talking to about all the nerd fashion that his company makes. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.